clear everything out, and you'll be ready to go and be like, and then you should be set. Between that and a little bit of the old, nothing can go wrong. Trust me.
All right, let me try that.
See how that works?
Can't stop the train, baby. Whoa!
Welcome to the 33rd round of BBV's The Losers Bracket. We have a lot of content, and we're going to go ahead and kick it right off with the PAX content.
This past week, PAX Prime 2010 brought in a total of 67,600 attendants. That is huge. One of those attendants is actually here with us, our very own VVV Kraftdinner, Anthony Amenta. Anthony, how are you doing tonight, sir?
Hey guys, I'm doing pretty good right now.
Welcome back to Civilization, because I know PAX is a whole other world.
Oh, definitely.
Lots of champs there.
Give us a little bit of detail. How was the event? What did you see? What did you experience? Give us the lowdown.
Well, where to begin, honestly? Just showing up, it was just crazy. You get into, this huge hall. There's, 15 rows that are just packed with people waiting for the doors to open at 10 o'clock. My first entrance, when I walked in, it was just kind of mind-blowing. There's so much going on. The schedule's completely packed. 10 o'clock, there's 15 things going on. 10:30, there's 10 more things going on. So trying to decide what to do was a little bit difficult. So I kind of just, winged it. I just went there and just did whatever came my way. I walked around, checking out events. There was tournaments going on constantly. Alienware had Medal of Honor, League of Legends, Team Fortress 2 constantly around 10 o'clock right till 7 o'clock. No matter where you went, there was always something going on. So it was just, it was so much fun. I can't explain how much fun I had. I'm going to be going every year now. Some of the biggest, some of the most memorable things from the weekend would have been, first of all, seeing Duke Nukem finally after 12 years of waiting. That was really cool. Getting to get hands-on with the game a little bit, blowing shit up and having a good time with that one. That was a lot of fun. Let's see, Terra, that MMO coming out. It kind of brought me back thinking about Diablo, how it's based off skill shots. If you miss your shot, you're going to miss the target. There's no homing. It's just everything's kind of based on skill. So if you want to dodge a attack, you can move away from it. And same with your attacks. You have to be very precise. So that game brings a lot of interest to me. I'm really looking forward to it. I never played Killzone until this past weekend. And Killzone 3 was just fantastic. I went a couple times just to play it again, and wow, it was amazing.
Well, Anthony, I know from talking to you earlier that you had mentioned a lot about seeing a lot of people and meeting people like Swoozy. Tell us some of the people you finally got to meet and what those experiences were like.
Yeah, actually, on Friday when I first got there, I was walking around just checking things out, and I think it was by Eve, and I hear this voice commentating over Super Street Fighter 4, and I was like, is that Swoozy in my head? I couldn't tell, right? It was a little bit staticky. It was pretty far. It was so loud in there. And I kind of just followed the sound, and there he goes, Swoozy commentating and playing at the same time. So it's kind of cool. And I went up to him, and he's like, oh shit, yo, Kraftdinner. He knew exactly who I was, and it was pretty cool. So I hopped on the controls and had some matches with him in Street Fighter. I managed to beat him one round. I'm not sure if he threw the match to me, but it was really close. And basically, if you beat Swoozy in a match of Street Fighter 4, Super Street Fighter 4, you get entered into the tournament. I think it was by Newegg. A grand prize for that was a tournament fight stick. Sadly, I got knocked out first round. But meeting Swoozy gave me the opportunity to meet a few more people from WCG Ultimate Gamer Season 2. Let me think. I think it was Ryan, Justin, Rachel, Caesar, Yaz, AJ, Sebastian, Faye, and Jake. And Jake, as soon as he saw me, he knew right away because I think I've talked to him before, and Yeah, we got along so well, me and that guy. Since we've gotten back, I've been talking to Jay quite a bit, and that whole crew is just awesome. They're great people, really down to earth, and yeah, like I'm just looking forward to watching the rest of the season on Ultimate Gamer.
Well, I'm sorry to hear that.
You're sorry to hear that?
Sorry to hear that.
Are you not happy with Ultimate Gamer 2, Ryan?
No, not at all.
No, you're not a fan?
Esports Resort, NHL? No.
I don't know. The question I have is, will you, Kraftdinner, try out for Ultimate Gamer 3?
You know what? After meeting those guys, and especially Yaz, like he was just coming out, he's like, man, you got to try out. Like, you got this. Like, I don't know. I was like, all right, well, like hell, man, maybe I'll try it out next year. I'll just kind of wait till the announcements are up. I'm going to practice, maybe get some practice in some sports games, maybe some Tekken. I haven't really played that in, I don't know, 10 years. And just all around get some general gaming skills, because I've been watching the show and those life challenges, you know, I can nail that. I'm athletic, so I've been watching some of those people. They don't really have the best athletic ability. I definitely got the ups on a lot of them, but when it comes to like Caesar and Yaz, you know, those guys are in shape, so it'd be something on par with like how they perform, how I would perform in maybe in a tournament, or sorry, in a competition on the show. Yeah, I'm thinking about doing it next year, but depends on work and scheduling and time and stuff. So.
Well, yeah, exactly. But I'll tell you what, Anthony, if you make the show next year, I will watch it religiously. And you know what? I hope you can break the curse that VVV has had on the show and get past round 2.
Hey, man, what happened with Mike? If you actually watched it, you know, I kind of feel sorry for the guy, because the situation he was in, it really shouldn't have turned out the way it did. It's because they have the winners. Basically, there's 2 teams, and one's on the losing side and one's on the winning. Everyone on the winning is safe, basically.
No, I know.
So
I watched.
It was terrible how it turned out. You know.
That's one of the reasons why I don't like the show, is because of that reason.
Yeah, but then again, man, that's how it goes. They're all fighting for $100,000, man.
I agree. No one else is doing it, so you know, they got top-notch honors right now. So I'll let them have that, but. It's just not a. Thank God Jersey Shore season 2's on.
Oh, that's terrible, right? I can't believe you said that. So speaking of Jersey Shore, which Kraftdinner is nowhere close to, for those who don't know, you're way out on the West Coast in British Columbia, Vancouver area. Tell people who may not be too familiar with you a little bit about you, where you live, your background, and what you do out there in British Columbia.
All right, so my name is Anthony Amenta. I'm from Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. I'm fully Italian with both my parents. I was born and raised in Vancouver, and since I was a little kid, I've always been interested in art, influenced by gaming, and I'll have to say actual Final Fantasy was what really got me motivated to get into animation school when the first film came out. So I kind of stuck with it growing up. I've always had my career path like set in my head that I wanted to do animation. Not sure on like what part of animation I want to do, but just get into the field and see how it went. So I stuck with it. After I graduated high school, I went to a school called BCIT, British Columbia Institute of Technology, where I studied digital animation for 12 months straight. So basically it was a certificate for 2 years, but it's a condensed program there. It's pretty crazy, that school. You work hard and have like 5, 6, maybe 7 classes at a time. So that was a little bit intense. But since I finished school, that's now, I guess I'm in my 5th year in the industry. I went from film and TV, doing animation shows for kids. I'd worked on a show called Viva Pinata. I did some cinematics for 50 Cent, Ghostbusters. I've done movies like Nutty Professor and just some other stuff, Thomas the Train Engine. But I finally worked my way into the gaming industry. Now I'm working for Disney at a studio called Propaganda Games in Vancouver, where I'm currently working on Pirates of the Caribbean. And throughout these 5 years now, I've been doing lighting. And that's my title, and it's something that I really enjoy, and I look forward to continuing it for the rest of my life. So,
I think you're one of those people, to be honest, Anthony, that is lucky and is able to work in a field that you yourself are passionate about as a gamer. When a lot of people in VV gaming come to me, I often direct them to you. They have a lot of advice about where to go to school, what to do, and when I lectured at film college here, I always talked about networking, and I know when we first met, you seem to get that right from the beginning when you were going to school. If you were going to give advice to a young person today about school choices and what, especially in the artistic field, what school really is about, what advice would you give?
So in my case, when I finished school, I took a look at what was offered. At the time, it was called CDIS, which is now AI. They're all located all over the States, and I guess they bought out CDIS to come to Canada. I looked at that school, looked at Vancouver Film School, Capilano College. These are all schools in my area, and BCIT. I was looking at just kind of success rates on the school. Something good to look at when you go there and ask questions, because they always have open house sessions where you can go ask questions and find out a little about the school before getting into it. So I asked, I found out about success rates. Basically, like, is my money secure here? Are the teachers going to drop on me? Or because I know that happens in certain places where teachers change midway, and it's kind of damages your education because you're so used to working with one teacher, and then if it changes midway through your program, it's especially when you're learning the same tools. It's different from going to school at university for, let's say, science or something where you have a ton of different classes. But when you're in animation, you're kind of focused on, Maya or Softimage, Photoshop, and it's really good to have a teacher that you can really learn with and adapt with. So at BCIT, the success rate is pretty high, but one key thing was the price. The price was like a third the cost of any other school. And I paid a lot less going to BCIT than I would if I went to Vancouver Film School. I'd be paying like in the $30,000, $40,000 range. Now it's even higher because I finished 4 or 5 years ago. Looking back, I'm so glad I went to BCIT because when I finished, I already had my contacts established. I made friends with people in the industry. I took the time to call. For example, I called EA, told them who I was. I was a student at BCIT, and I was interested in possibly, talking with some working professionals about, just how to get into the field. And basically that set me up with, I wouldn't say interviews, but they're basically just questionnaires where I meet up with them. And for me, I met up with them at a restaurant, just hung out, had some lunch, chatted about the industry, and just gave me tips on what to do. As I was doing this, I was growing my networks and contacts. So by the time I graduated BCIT, I already had a job before I even finished school. How much effort and time you put into school definitely determines like how successful you're going to be going out of school. Like just because teachers.
I think that what a lot of students miss is that what happens outside the classroom is probably just as important, if not in many aspects more important than what happens in the classroom. Like you were discussing the informational interviews where you got to talk to people that were working and get advice and start to network. I think that's what a lot of students tend to miss when they're at school.
Yeah, like I guess my biggest tip, if you are trying to get in animation, for example, I was talking with Jake from WCG's Ultimate Gamer Season 2. He actually wants to get in the industry as well. So I was kind of throwing some tips to him and just some advice. The biggest thing is networking. If you have a good personality, if you're outgoing and you get along with people, it's not always like the best skills that get the job. It's the people that work the best. When I was about to graduate, my thing was, this is my time, this is my money. I may have not went to the best school, but what's saying that these other schools are better than the school I'm going to? Like, you can only learn so much from a teacher. The rest is how much time and effort you put into your own studies. For my 12 months there, I think I was home for just to sleep, grab some food, and go back to school. I slept at school. I was able to do that because I had 24/7 access to my building. So me and a few friends were all on the same kind of page at school. We spent a lot of our time there just working on things, trying to improve things, and I never took time off. I was always there. If I was not working or home sleeping, I was at school and just learning, reading tutorials, just getting better. And in the end, it worked because I got a job out the door and I have not had any problems ever finding a job or being laid off. It's all about networking and it's all about just putting time in.
Well, for those who don't know VVV Kraftdinner, now you have a very good introduction to him. Use him as a resource. If you need advice about schools to attend or strategies outside of listening to what he just said here, it's okay if they send you a PM on the forums if they've got any questions, correct?
Yeah, definitely hit me up on the VBB forums. It's Kraftdinner. Also, I think there you can find my links to my email or my Facebook. Hit me up anywhere you want. Just let me know who you are and throw me your questions. I'd be glad to answer them.
So anybody out there that's interested in breaking into video game design, production, development, you have a great resource here in VVV Kraftdinner. So getting back to PAX Craft, I was going to ask you, we talked about some of the games you saw. We talked about some of the people you met. As it sort of wound down and you were getting ready to leave, because this can be a pretty overwhelming event, talk about some of the things, because I don't think a lot of people know how hard it is to just fit some things in. I mean, there's no way you can fit it in 4 days. What are some of the things you wish that you could have made time for, or that you're going to, next PAX, you're going to be like, you know what, I'm definitely setting some time aside to do this?
Yeah, there's a few things that I want to do, but I couldn't because there's like 67,000 people there within the weekend. In the morning, if you want to do something, pick it right away because you're going to have to get in the lineup. That's maybe an hour to 2 hours long, depending on how fast they push people through on the booth. For example, Duke Nukem, if you didn't get there right away, you're in a 2 hour line minimum. There's signs saying if you're standing here, it's about 2 hours. For example, like Portal, there was a lot of people going through at once, so you can fit 30 people or more into a room because these things are enclosed, so you can't see from the outside. And that was, maybe 45-minute line. But when I first got to PAX, I didn't know that there was 2 buildings, and I really wanted to go to the keynote speech at the very beginning of the opening day, and I missed that because I was wandering through the buildings, just kind of looking at things, and I have 15 minutes. I'm gonna head over to this main room, but this main room was in a building 3-4 blocks down, and I was like, damn, I'm gonna miss this. But this next year, and there's so much to do here. I'll just stick with this building and just check things out. If you want to go check things out, honestly, when you get there 8 o'clock, 8:30, and get in line, because as soon as the doors open at 10, everyone kind of rushes to where they want to go, and the popular booths are always busy. 2 that I wanted to do were, of course, the Epic Mickey. There was live drawings. There's 2 artists there. You basically wait in line, and they do a live drawing for you, and you get to keep it. I'm not too sure exactly what they were drawing. I think it was on request, maybe by characters or something. The line was just crazy. And some of the games, like I was saying, the Duke Nukem booth, that was completely busy. I think it was called Rift. That game was just a 2 hour lineup. What was the other ones? There was a couple of games. But yeah, they were just unreal, the lines. So if you really want to see something, I really recommend going and getting there first, right in the morning. Friday, maybe spend your Friday doing the keynote speech and any other kind of like presentations you want to see. And give yourself time. If you know there's a presentation going on at like 3 o'clock, be there at like 1:35, 1:40. Just so you have a little bit of time to get in line and you're not going to be left out or have a bad seat or, maybe have the chance of not making it in. So I would definitely recommend that kind of stuff if you're planning on going to PAX next year.
And, PAX is always going to be growing. And this year they had 67,600 attendees alone.
Yeah. Next year will be more. I guarantee it. When I got back, I've told people about it, and the responses I've got were just like, wow, we have to do this next year. And, that's already 30 people that want to come with me next year. I'm already planning to book my hotel as soon as they announce and confirm PAX the dates. Like, I'm going to get maybe the executive suite up in Sheraton just so I have more room and we can cram some people in there and just have a good time. Like, it's going to be crazy next year. I plan on doing it, and I'll kind of see how it goes.
All this conversation about PAX really gets me thinking a lot about the Q&A session that happened at PAX with both Mike Krullick and Jerry Holkins, the people who are responsible for all of this, the 2 sort of brilliant minds behind the Penny Arcade webcomic and obviously the PAX event itself. This year, passes sold out faster than any other year. The size increased. You look at it, they needed a whole other building. As VV Kraftdinner mentioned earlier, there are now 2 buildings. They took over the one for the Seattle Symphony Orchestra as well. You're going to see the same thing happen probably at the Boston Heinz Convention Center. More of this center will be taken for PAX East. And passes are selling out right around 1 month. So in 1 month, you're getting 60, and we're probably going to see 70,000 passes sold in 2011. You give all these game studios, multiple opportunities to show content, display games, and it's saying something, right? It's saying that gamers don't want to just sit at home. They want to go out. They want to meet people. They want to attend events. They want to be entertained. They want to meet the other gamers they're playing with. They want to get to know people personally. They want to play in tournaments, and they want to be sort of in an energetic, gaming-centric environment. And I think for a lot of people, PAX is the kind of event, and, we've been talking about events recently, PAX, Gen Con, Origins. These are the kind of events that I think are really important. I think the San Diego, New York, and even Chicago Comic-Cons are important. And that is really what, for me at least, excites me about what's happening in gaming. You look at all this technology being developed, all the new games, the place to see them are at the conventions. And I encourage anybody who has a chance next year, PAX East in Boston, put it on your calendar. Be ready to go to PAX East in spring. Be ready to go to Gen Con in August. For those of you on the West Coast, put PAX Prime in Seattle in the month of September on your calendar. Do not miss these events. VVV Gaming is going to be there, and you should be there. We have an exciting year in games coming out. Halo Reach, Black Ops, Gears of War 3. We have Terra for the MMO world. This is an exciting year for gaming upcoming, and it's going to start this month with the release of Halo Reach. And I think the ride we're all going to experience is going to be fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I honestly cannot wait for Reach, and just, it's, brand new game coming out, everyone's at the same level, supposedly. We hope. But, there's always going to be people that excel faster, so that doesn't matter.
Just to mention, the booth for Halo Reach and Gears of War, the lines are pretty crazy, so I never got a chance to play them. But I sat back and watched some of Gears of War 3, and wow, it looks phenomenal. Like, the game's just so well done, and the classes now you can choose and what you can do, it was really good. I'm not sure if there's an actual demo or if there's a beta for it. I'm not sure how it works, but if you haven't played it, look forward for this game because it's looking good.
Okay, so you don't know which mode you actually got to witness?
I think it was just kind of.
Was it the one where players get to play as the Horde?
Yeah, so you can be one of these little exploding things.
Yes.
And takers, man. It was cool. Definitely cool. You suicide yourself. You can take out 3, 4, 5. I saw one guy take out 6 guys.
Yeah, it's good that they added the fun aspect to it because if you just play a game strictly competitive, you might kill yourself.
Well, you definitely burn out. I mean, I think it's important in any game to have other options, have some fun once in a while.
Exactly. That's why I like Gears 2 with Horde, where you can play with your friends and just play, computers, whatever.
And one thing I didn't mention about PAX was the costumes. I think it's called cosplay. Wow. Some people put in months of time probably in these costumes. It's unreal. If you have my Facebook, check out my album because I posted a whole bunch of photos. I think it's about 130, 40 photos. And there's some amazing costumes. It's unreal what I saw.
Which costume would you say your favorite was from the weekend? Because, you saw a lot.
Yeah, well, the girls, they're on a different level. There's some really good-looking girls. Yeah.
Okay, I see you, Anthony.
Yeah, but for the costumes, there was one. I'm not too sure where it's from, but it was this big demon guy. It was a full-body costume. It was from head to toe. It was a complete, plastic, maybe poly, I don't know what kind of costume it was, but it was fantastic. Just the spray paint on it. No, there was maybe a couple, actually. And the Killzone guards, I'm not sure what they're called anymore, but they were walking around the booth, identical to the character in the game. They were so well done, but I guess they're made for the booth, so it's pretty cool. Yeah, and I would have to say maybe some of the World of Warcraft girls. They were looking good. They had some good costumes, and a lot of night elf kind of girls walking around with some outstanding costumes. The detailing and the body armor and stuff was just crazy.
Kraft, I want to thank you so much for coming on the show, sharing your personal experiences at PAX, and a little bit about your personal life as well. You said that anybody could contact you on the forums if they need to for advice. So, listeners, please feel free to take advantage of, well, not take advantage of, I mean, he's a good-looking man and all, but, woo! All right, back.
Girls, call me. Ladies, call me, please. I'll see you at DC, don't worry.
Oh, yeah, for the meet and greet. That's going to be a lot of fun, too. Hope that's on everybody's calendars as well. But, Kraft, thank you once again for coming on the show, and hopefully we'll get you back on the show again soon. It was a lot of fun having you on.
Yeah, appreciate it, guys. I enjoyed the time here.
All right, our next guest is from the World Cyber Games. Many of you know him, Paul Brewer. Paul, welcome to our show.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks to everybody. Glad you guys could fit me in.
No, it's a pleasure to have you. This is a big week for the World Cyber Games. U.S. Nationals followed by the World Finals here in Los Angeles. Is this the 10th anniversary, correct?
It is the 10th anniversary. Big year for World Cyber Games.
Well, Paul, for the audience who may not know, which I don't think there are many, your role in what you do at the WCG, tell us a little bit about you.
So I'm the senior marketing manager, and I know that sounds kind of generic, but basically I'm the one that makes sure that there's some sort of event and tournament and some sort of fun for gamers out there. I'm the one that, listens to the gamers and makes sure that WCG does what they want it to do. So, we obviously have a lot of roles, and it involves sponsorship and a whole bunch of other things, but mostly I'm interested in creating cool events and new and fresh events for gamers.
Well, this is actually an exciting event because you're actually going to be streaming it with DJ Wheat covering it from Live on 3, correct?
That's it. Yeah, we're working with DJ Wheat. He's a WCG veteran actually. He hasn't done anything with us since 2007, but up to 2007, he was a big WCG advocate, and he did both the U.S. National Finals when he was still a part of the GGL organization, and he even worked on our grand final in Seattle that year. So, obviously we all know who he is. He's a celebrity, and I think he does a pretty good job, to say the least, with competitive video gaming.
Absolutely. And this is going to be great for everybody here at home, to be honest, because those who cannot attend LA this year, I think are going to really be excited to be able to watch what's happening, because the economy still isn't great for a lot of people. So having the opportunity to watch it, at home, I think is awesome. So I'm sure from behalf of the people here at VV Gaming that I know love to watch, thank you very much for doing this.
Well, thank you guys for tuning in. We appreciate it, and we hate that there are places that some gamers just can't afford to go, and some gaming fans can't afford to go. But it's nice to provide some sort of outlet for everybody to watch who can't attend live. So thank you guys for tuning in this weekend.
Absolutely. Well, let's talk first about the U.S. Nationals. That is coming up here this weekend. What can you tell us about it? What's going to be going on? Obviously the events, but outside of just the competition, what would an attendee's experience be like? What can they expect?
Sure. So the event itself is in Universal Studios, inside the park, inside the theme park at Universal Studios Hollywood. So we're obviously incorporating our events in with, a lot of fun activities around the park. We're doing a bunch of kind of younger type things, scavenger hunts and text to win type things for gamers to do. We're also working with some of their park people to incorporate some of their 3D rides, for free for gamers and stuff like that. But in addition to that, the event itself, we're obviously running the U.S. Championship, which, is where we crown Team USA, send them on to compete against the world. But then within kind of the event, we're doing all kinds of 3D gaming tournaments with Samsung, and we're doing a Samsung Mobile Challenge with the new Galaxy S. We've got the Ultimate Gamers coming into town, and we're doing a red carpet event with them. We're doing a players party on Saturday night that is going to have, the hosts of Ultimate Gamer and some of the contestants themselves, and obviously, all the U.S. champions will be there. So a lot going on in the next 3 days.
So, Paul, outside of what is going on at the U.S. Nationals, then that brings all the international talent and leads us directly into the finals. So this sort of like a week of pure gaming bliss, probably competitive gaming bliss. What is the World Finals going to be like, and how will it be different from the Nationals as far as the spectator experience?
Great question. So I think the first thing to mention is that, the U.S. Championship, we're talking about 150 players from all across the country coming in, competing across 10 different titles. With the global finals, we're talking about 800 gamers coming from about 65 or 70 countries, all flying in to compete on 12 titles. So it's obviously a lot bigger in scope and scale. In addition to that, obviously the booths and the interactive experiences at the grand final are just larger in scale. I think, all of our sponsors, Samsung and Alienware and Gunner and I mean, everybody, including some of the people that we're finalizing some deals with, this week, are planning some pretty good experiences for gamers and fans alike. I mean, obviously, the last component of it is we'll be filming the 8th episode for WCG Ultimate Gamer at the grand final. So, you can come down and see it being filmed, and you're not going to get to find out who wins necessarily. We're obviously going to drop the curtain, but it's definitely an interesting experience. I don't think there's ever been, a reality show filmed at a gaming event before. So, definitely an interesting experience.
Speaking of your sponsors, obviously Samsung has been a staple World Cyber Games since sort of day one. Let's talk about some of the additional sponsors you have from this year. I know you mentioned Gunner and Alienware. Let's talk a little bit about some of the sponsors and do you have the same ones for both the U.S. finals that you do for the World, or do you have different ones for each event? How's that going to work this year?
For the most part, they're going to be congruent. So in other words, we're going to have similar sponsors for both events since they're both in the States. I mean, obviously sponsors have sort of the same goals and are able to get two big events in. But there are a few that won't be a part of the U.S. National Championship that are global sponsors. Thermaltake, obviously, they sponsor us with several different products. This year they're even doing mice and keyboards, which is pretty exciting for them. Korean Air is one that we're looking at having at the grand final. It's nice to have sort of one of those mainstream sponsors. It's great that we have the Endemics and the ITs and things like that, Samsungs of the world, but it's always nice to have somebody like a Korean Air or Pepsi or somebody like that come in. And this year Korean Air is coming in for the grand final, so we're pretty excited about that. But yeah, for the most part, we're looking at the same sponsors, Dell, Alienware, and Microsoft Xbox and Samsung for sure.
Now, to clarify for those that are not able to attend, you will only be streaming the U.S. national finals, but unfortunately you will not be streaming the World. Is that correct?
Actually, that's not correct. We will be doing a live stream for the grand final. We haven't announced it yet, but it's one of the it's the biggest gaming platform out there. We're very close to a deal. I can't really go into all the details, but there will absolutely be a live stream. It'll be pushed out all across the globe. That's actually one of the biggest priorities for WCG because it's a global property. We have to try to provide for those that can't get here. And I mean, last year in China, for example, we had 55 million viewers tune in over 4 days, and I mean, most of those were outside of China. So yeah, we'll definitely be streaming live, and you can be paying attention in the next probably week or so to see where it's going to be. But it's going to be really professional. It's going to be great.
That really is exciting news. That was one of the questions we had more than any other is, will we be able to watch the World Finals here? And that's really good news. Let's talk a little bit about theme this year. I know you do sort of Olympic style setting, and this is your 10th anniversary. Anything connected to the 10th year or anything special being done for this particular event?
It's a good question, and I mean it's kind of hard to differentiate year over year. I think that the biggest thing is obviously filming Ultimate Gamer on site. There's obviously plans to do things a little bit bigger and more exciting for the 10th anniversary. But like I've always said to you before, Jerry, come on down and check it out, and you'll see what's going on. But it's definitely going to be bigger and better than we've done in the past for sure.
We also had a lot of interest this year in particular that has brought Samsung's name to the forefront. The Galaxy S series phones, the Captivate for AT&T and all the various models for Sprint and Verizon, as well as some great plasma TVs, Blu-ray players, a lot of great reviews. I know this because I was shopping for new technology, and everywhere I look, I see Samsung. What would you say has been some of the products or something that Samsung really is interested this year that players will be able to experience at the events?
That's a great question. You actually hit on one of them and kind of two of them at the same time. The first thing is obviously the Samsung Galaxy S. That's Samsung's push to compete with the iPhone, and globally they're doing it. And and not trying to be biased here, but it's a great phone. We ran a small preliminary tournament last month on the Galaxy S, and it's an amazing mobile device. So that's obviously a big push behind Samsung Mobile. And then, the next thing that that we're really pushing here at this event this weekend, and I know is being pushed globally, is the 3D TVs. 3D gaming, as you guys probably know, obviously, is kind of the next big push in gaming. I think it's somewhat in its adolescence still, but it's obviously a priority. And Samsung recognizes that. That's one of the reasons that they support WCG so well, is because we obviously provide a platform, for the gamers. So, the 3D TVs is the next big push, and we're going to have a great big jumbo one down here at the national final this week. We're going to be running 3D tournaments all weekend. So that's probably the biggest stuff. And then lastly, some people may not know, Samsung's actually launching laptops in the United States very soon. And I mean, they've had, laptops in the past overseas, but they're going to be launching gaming laptops, and we're going to have some of those at this event as well. And it's a great product, just like everything else Samsung makes. They definitely put their minds behind it. So those three things are the big push for us right now.
Yeah, as someone who owns the Galaxy S Captivate, it is the best phone I've ever owned, and I'm not just saying that. Obviously, unlike you, Samsung does not pay our bills, and I can say that without any doubt, I had choices, and I looked at iPhone, the fourth generation iPhone. I looked at some of the HTC devices, and the screen, the contrast, the speed. I think Samsung's got a great product there. I really, really, really do. And 3D television, for those of you that may be listening that don't know, there's a 7000 and 8000 series televisions from Samsung, and these are the 3D capable televisions. And when I went to go look at TVs, I'll be honest, I'm very skeptical about 3D. Just, I'm sure I'm not the only person. But, and I'm not going to say anything, take a look at 3D. If you're going to be out there, take a look at it. Things are going to change, and some of us who may be old school may be skeptical and may not get it, but a lot of really great innovations seem to be coming out in conjunction with 3D television. I should ask you, Paul, are you a fan of 3D? And what cell phone do you own? No, I'm kidding. No.
So the 3D question is, I'm actually a lot like you, Jay. I'm still a little skeptical. Like I said, I feel like it's still got some ways to go. But I mean, like you said, the latest editions, there's the 7000, 8000, there's even a 9000 now. I think they're coming along. I think they're definitely the next step. And, some of the games, when you actually see them and play them in 3D, I don't think it's all the way there yet, but it's pretty amazing. And I don't want to sound like I'm just saying that because it's Samsung, but I think it's definitely going to be interesting to see where gaming goes with it. WCG is never going to abandon the two-dimensional or the traditional gamer, but I think everybody should probably be aware that there's definitely a market out there, and there's definitely interest in doing 3D tournaments and 3D gaming. So be on the lookout for it.
Paul, I know that you've been doing quite a bit of traveling lately. I know you just got back from Brazil, and the U.S. actually did pretty good with some of the results they had down there. Can you tell us a little bit about your trip to Brazil and how the U.S. team did overall? And speaking of which, do you have any predictions for nationals as well? Anybody you think that's got maybe a little bit of an advantage? I know it's kind of a dirty question to ask you, but if you got any info, I'd love to hear it.
Absolutely. So, trip to Brazil was amazing. It's a great country, very interesting country. WCG USA went down there, did pretty well. We could have used U Paradise. We took second and third in Guitar Hero, but VVV Smoky Frog and Mob Shift, they went down there and did a great job. Brazil just in Guitar Hero, Brazil is just good. That kid is pretty impressive. But we also did well. Our FIFA player, VVV Mix, in an international competition, he took third, and that was a good thing for him because, he's represented Team USA the last couple of years at the grand final, and he didn't even make it out of group play. So it was nice to see him, finish in third place amongst, some of the better FIFA players in the world. And then our Counter-Strike team, they went down there and took second, which was pretty big disappointment, mostly for them. I was obviously real happy with them, but I think everybody expected them to go down there and win, and they came up short against Fire Gamers from Brazil. So great tournament. It was a lot of fun. We had a great group of young men down there, and I was real pleased with the way they handled themselves. I've been all over the world with gamers, and some good, some not so good, and these guys were all amazing. So it was a good trip overall. Second part of your question, I think Team EG will in Counter-Strike, they're looking pretty strong right now. I don't want to say expecting, but I won't be surprised if they come out of the U.S. Championship. I think we're looking at probably the same group of people in Guitar Hero as well. Guitar Hero 5 is a little bit more random than some of the versions we've done in the past, but I still think Smokey Prague and Shift and possibly Witwix could come out of there as well. So those three players are three players that I kind of have my eyes on. For FIFA, I think it really comes down to Ifra and Nix. Those two are probably the top two right now. But that's another one that, somebody doesn't practice as much and they don't even make it out of group play. So that's kind of the fun thing about WCG. You never really know what to expect. Some of the other games, Tekken, to be honest with you, it's kind of a crapshoot. That's a new game for WCG this year. I've paid attention to the onlines, but I don't even know where to go. I know that, Black Mamba, Jeremy Florence, he'll be here, and he's a real strong fighting game player. So, everybody's kind of got their eyes on him. For Forza, the players that I think everybody's looking at, we have some of the traditional PGR players, so Chomper and Maximus and even B. Boyle. The three of them will be here this weekend, and it could be one of them or anybody really. It's one of those games. It's kind of a toss-up. The other games we're looking at is StarCraft and Warcraft. StarCraft, it's a tough game to really predict, and I don't even know if it's worth me throwing something out right now. With StarCraft 2 coming out, a lot of those traditional StarCraft 1 players kind of moved over to StarCraft 2. So because they haven't been practicing Brood War as often, it's such a toss-up. With Warcraft, I think Songby is still probably the best in this country. Him or Longwalk, Phil Crawford is. The two of them are both amazing. It could be either one of them. It's going to be an exciting event, and the nice thing about WCG is that, just because you won last year doesn't mean, that you're going to win this year, that even that you're the best in the country this year. So it's definitely going to be entertaining.
Paul, one question that I have for you is about the mobile platform. What I'd like to know about is it's been on WCG for several years now, and I think looking at how cell phone technology is developing, would it be safe to say that mobile games are here to stay?
Oh, absolutely. I think everybody started off on the PC and then moved to console gaming, and console gaming in the States obviously is still the biggest. But, I think mobile gaming is not going anywhere. Different mobile companies are building newer and better products that are designed, frankly, for gaming. The iPhone and the Galaxy S, both of those devices have, great screens that, the technology is just designed to play games on. And, I don't think with Samsung especially, I don't think there's any other direction other than continuing to go for mobile gaming. You've seen how many different apps are launched every day, and how many new games are launched for iPhone and for Android, and that's not going to go away. It just continues to grow, and WCG is going to continue to grow with it. So, yeah, don't sleep on mobile gaming for sure.
Well, Paul, I know that you have a lot to get ready for, so we don't want to take up too much of your time. I just want to really thank you again for being on the show. And on behalf of everybody here, I want to wish you an awesome event. And we look forward to our players being there, some of our staff being there, and obviously, for those who can't make it, watching it from home.
Hey, listen, thank you guys so much. It's always nice to talk to you, Jerry, but obviously the VVV organization, you guys are amazing. I love doing this, and I'm sorry that it's always sort of rushed, but let's definitely plan on doing this more often. I appreciate it.
That just about wraps up the 33rd round of VV Gaming's The Losers Bracket. Thanks once again for listening to our show. I do want to make sure that you guys are aware, we have a great contest going on Twitter right now. Make sure to check the VV Gaming forums. You could win a SteelSeries Siberia V2 headset just for tweeting out a message. The way the contest works, you tweet out this one specific message, you get an entry. If your name gets picked from one of those entries, you win. That simple. So make sure to check out the contest on our website. Big thanks to the VV sponsors, of course, SteelSeries, bringing us that awesome contest, Control Freak, MusicSkins.com, and Custom Ink. Thanks once again to the community. Your feedback and support is what keeps us running. Be sure to stop over at vvgaming.podbean.com. That way you can follow all of our shows. We've got Directional Influence and, of course, The Losers Bracket, which you're listening to right now. Hey! Email us at thelosersbracket@vv-gaming.com or follow us on Twitter. We're known as Losers Bracket.
And it is with that we end the 33rd round of the Losers Bracket. I want to wish everybody competing in the World Cyber Games USA National Finals good luck, and we'll see you next week right here. Have a good week.